So today we are doing the same section that we did yesterday, so it's all about substitution. So this is section 1.4, day 2. We had the same goal as yesterday. We're going to substitute values for given variables and then simplify the expressions. So let me get first example rolling. Alright, so you don't need to write down the big long sentence. The important parts are that S equals 4 and T equals -1. So you can put that in your notes. Alright, so I'm going to rewrite what I see exactly as it is. Right? But instead of the S, what am I going to put? The 4. And anytime you're substituting a value in, put it in parentheses. And instead of the T, what am I going to put in? -1 in parentheses. Very careful with your signs here. Now, we're following the order of operations to simplify this. So see the purple parentheses, the big ones? We need to simplify what's in there first. So what is 4 minus -1? 5, because it's like 4 plus 1, right? Minus a negative is like a plus. So this is like 3 parentheses 5, and then that 5 is being squared. So what do we do next? Multiplication or exponents?
Exponents.
Exponents. What is 5 squared?
25.
25. What is 3 times 25?
75.
75. So our answer here is 75. Raise your hand if you have a question on this one. Second example for today. So the important parts from the direction on this one are, where is it? A equals -2. B equals -6. So again, the A comes out, the -2 goes in, minus the B comes out, -6 goes in. Be very, very careful with your signs here. I'll say this 1,000 times during the substitution lessons. Everything you put in parentheses until you see how the signs are going to work out. Don't try to shortcut. All right, order of operations says we do what? Exponents. This is a -2 times -2. Positive 4. So this is 3 times 4 minus -6. Next. 3 times 4 is? 12 minus -6. What is 12 minus a -6? What?
18.
18, yes, because minus a negative is the same thing as plus, so this gives us an 18. What are your questions? All right, the rest of the class we are going to be defining the variables. So I want to do a little practice activity with you guys. So somewhere in your notes, put x equals, y equals, z equals, and w equals. I want you to define these variables. I am X years old. So you're talking about yourself. Everyone's going to have a different X. I am X years old. If you have a birthday tomorrow, make sure you do how old you are today. I am in Y grade. You can't say like Y equals sophomore and use the number here. These are numbers. Y equals a number. I have Z siblings. I think Miss Munden is W years old. So you should have a value for X, a value for Y, a value for Z, and a value for W. Your answers will probably not be the same as anyone else in the room. You might have 1 or 2 that are the same, but unless you're like exactly like someone else in here, you should probably have some different ones. All right, let's see if you guys understood. So, what are your X values? Just say them out loud. 15. 16, maybe some 17s, maybe some 14s. But yes, you are all in high school, so that should be about the range. Any questions on what the X is? Y, what did you guys get for Y?
10.
10, maybe 11, depending on what grade you're in. Z, what's your Z value?
7.
2, 7, 6.
4.
Anyone have 0?
No.
If you're an only child, you have 0 for your Z. Good? All good answers. W?
29.
29. Any other ones? 29. 27. Thank you. What?
She said 23.
33?
She said 23.
Oh, I was like, whew. No, I'm 29. So W is 29. But if you had a different W, that's fine. This was the whole point of this exercise. It's okay if you have different values for X and Y for what we're going to do for today. But sometimes you get to pick X and Y. It's okay if we have different X and Y's as long as it makes sense in the particular problem. So my X is 29, your X is 15. That's okay as long as it makes sense in the problem. So when you're defining the variable, there's a little bit of wiggle room on what's happening. Any questions? This is just kind of get your brain thinking that letters can represent numbers, and you get to pick the numbers depending on a situation. So this is kind of like what we did yesterday. We did 2 of them like this yesterday. I'm telling you a problem. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to come up with an X and a Y. When you put it in this equation, you get negative 40. So again, we might not all have the same X and Y, but if it works out with the order of operations, your answer is fine. So this is sort of practicing substitution, but in reverse. In math, if you can do problems both ways, like I give you the problem, you give me the answer, or I give you the answer, you do the problem, that shows me that you really, truly, deeply understand the concept. So that's why today we're kind of doing substitution in reverse. So, does anyone have an X and Y combination that they think might work here? Tell me X equals Y equals. X equals?
X equals 2.
Y equals?
20.
Now, I'm going to plug it in and see if I still agree. Sometimes we'll have to go back and revise our answer. That's called guess, check, revise. So she's guessing. 2 and 20. Now we're checking. Is this a true statement? 2 times 20 equals negative 40.
Oh.
What are you missing? Don't erase it. Just fix it. What are you missing?
A negative.
Which one do you want to be negative?
2.
The 2. Good.
What if you got 2 negatives?
What's a negative times a negative? A positive. So only one number should be negative in this example. Is that the only answer?
No.
No. Do you have one? What is it?
Negative 4 times 2.
-4 and 10. So I'm doing it like this is an answer, this is an answer. So kind of columns that would work. Would -4 and 10 work here?
Yes.
Yes. Very good. Anyone else have one they want to check? All right. If you guys are good, we'll go to the next one.
Are we supposed to write this?
Yes, write this.
Ooh.
Well, now you know the answer, so you can do it pretty quick. So X times Y equals -40, and then you pick the X, you pick the Y, double check that it works. What are your questions? All right, here's the next one. So I need to come up with a winning combination. Something for X, something for Y. 2 values that when I plug into this equation, I get a true statement. So I'm going to just get us set up. X equals blank, Y equals blank. I'll give you about a minute. Make sure you're writing it down. Oh, lots of answers. I'm going to let you go first. What'd you get? Tell me X equals Y equals.
4.
X equals 4. Y equals. Okay, let's see if this works. If I do 4 minus 3 equals 1, does that work? Okay, so those answers are great. In another color, I'm going to fill in some other options. Yes, ma'am.
2 minus 1.
Give me x equals
X equals 2.
and y equals 1, okay? X equals 2. Y equals 1. Does that work?
Yes.
Very good.
Yeah, Leo.
Anything else? Yes, ma'am?
X equals 5. Y equals 4.
Okay, does this one work?
Yes.
All right, great. Let's talk about one more. You had your hand up for a while. Do you have one? What? 15?
I said x equals 10.
10, okay. If x equals 10, what does y have to equal? 9, very good. So those are some combinations that will work. You only need one combination in your notes, and again, the answers may vary. So you could have any of those, kind of a rainbow of answers, or you could have your own. Questions? All right, here's another one. Now, this one gives you some options. You can clean up your signs first, or you can define x and, or a and b and then clean up your signs. It is up to you. But we need a minus negative b to equal 14. So you can see the signs are making us to think a little harder. All right, what do you have for A?
7.
What do you have for B? Negative 7. All right, so I'm going to see if this works. I have A is 7, the minus sign from the problem, the parentheses from the problem, the negative sign from the problem, and you want a negative 7 in the B spot. Close up all your parentheses. Let's see if this works. What's minus a negative? Plus. So we have 7 plus negative 7. Does that equal 14?
Yeah.
It actually does not. It equals 0. So do you want to change one of your signs? Work backwards from here. What needs to be different here? We need to get rid of what?
The negative?
The negative. If you want to get rid of the negative here, that'll get rid of the negative up here. So get rid of this negative over here. If you did 7 and 7, this would actually work. So just double check your signs on that one. This is kind of tricky. Anyone have another one they want to try? Learn from what happened on that one. Try not to do the same thing. All right, I'm going to start writing them separate. I think that gets kind of confusing when I write them together. Yes, ma'am.
Wait. Can it be 16 take away 2?
Okay, so you want 16. You want to take away 2, so do you want this 2 to be positive or negative?
Positive. Or wait, negative. Wait, no, then I'll be wrong. Wait.
You pick. Pick one and we'll check it, and we'll fix it if we need to. 2 or negative 2?
I put negative 2, but then that equals 18. Wait, but then you just did the other.
You want it to be negative. Let's check why. Okay, so you have A, but instead of A, we're going to do 16. You have this minus. You have this negative. And then you want a negative 2 here, right? What happens to 2 of those signs? A minus negative becomes... So you have 16 plus negative 2. That's what you want. So you want it to be negative.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Now, some people might find this actually easier to clean up the signs first, and that's actually totally okay in here. Because look in the original problem, it's minus negative, right? So you could, from the very beginning, just make this A plus B equals 14. That would be up to you. Both of those work. Does anyone have another one they want to check? So we have an S equals, we have a T equals. Remember, the best way to do this is like guess, check, revise. Think of something that you think might work, check it, fix it if you need to. Raise your hand if you have one. Yes, ma'am.
Negative 4 for S and T is negative 4.
Okay, let's see if negative 4 and negative 4 works. So I have negative 4 for S plus negative 4 for T equals negative 8. Is that true? That works. Does anyone have a different one? So those are the only two numbers that add to negative 8.
I'm thinking.
You're thinking, okay. What can you add to any number if you don't want to change the number? 1 will change it. Like 10 plus what is 10? 0. So you could use zeros here to your advantage, right? If S is 0, what does T have to be?
8. Wait.
Negative 8.
Negative 8.
That'll work. If you're ever trying to add to a certain number and you can't quite figure it out, make one of them 0. That's totally legit. You can do that. You could do it the other way too. You can make S negative 8. Just start where you want to end up and then make the other one 0. You do negative 6 and negative 2. You could do negative 10 and positive 2. It just depends on the combination you want. But again, double check your work after you come up with one. What? Negative 10 plus 2. Perfect. Very good. I'm sorry. I ruined the surprise. Any questions? All right, here's one that's a little harder. There's a couple steps going on. Make sure you're doing all the multiplication before you're doing that subtraction. Again, guess, check, revise. So sort of make a plan, pick some numbers, check it out. If it works, great. If it doesn't work, try to tweak it. This will be the last one we look at as a group. It's the hardest one we're looking at as a group. So you'll have the rest of today to work through your homework. Anyone have one or think they're close? If you're close, we could help you through the rest of it. Yes.
I put what X as 1.
X as 1.
And Y is negative 1.
Oh, let's see if this works. So we're going to make X 1 and Y negative 1. What is 2 times 1? What is 4 times negative 1? And then we have minus a negative. What's a minus negative? A plus. So what's 2 plus 4? So 6 equals 6. Is this a true statement? Yes, so these work. Anyone have another one? Don't forget the power of 0. 0 is very powerful in these sort of things. What if I told you that I want y to be 0? How would that affect this whole back piece? What's 4 times 0? This is not a trick question. What is 4 times 0?
0.
0. So if I have a 0 here, what minus 0 would give us 6? 6. How can I make this a 6? What would I multiply by 2 to get 6? 3. So see that thought process? You can sort of work your way backwards on these as well. Lots of different ways to come up with answers here. Does anyone have another one they want to try? Thinking about it? No? Someone in my morning class, they did, what did they do? They did 9 and 3. So they had 2 times 9, which would be an 18. And they had 4 times 3, which would be a 12. And that's how they got the 6. So you could get a little more creative too, get some bigger numbers. Any of these are fine, and there's lots more that work. Questions? Remember, in your notes, you just need one winning combination. So let's wrap things up. We did substitution for 2 days. So what does that actually mean? What does it mean to substitute? In math and life, whatever. What does it mean?
Replace something.
Replace. So if you have a substitute teacher, your teacher's gone, you have a new teacher.
You have a replacement.
You have a replacement. Substitutions in like football. One football player comes out, the other one goes in. Basketball, baseball, any sport, same thing. Same thing in math. If you are substituting for a variable, the variable comes out, the new value goes in. So don't forget to take those variables out when you're putting the numbers in. Any questions? All right, here comes your homework.